It's a great day to talk hockey with Grant McCagg on HabsCast.
And a good Sunday afternoon to everybody. Grant McCagg, your host here with the one and only Rick Springhetti. You're having a rare Sunday off, Rick. Glad you could join us so late in the afternoon so that I could wake up. I was up late watching Mboko in a doubles match. I'm a bit of a tennis addict, it appears. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Nice time. Nice to be off today and not have to go outside. Let me tell you. Not even my poor dog Barney is interested in taking a walk today. He looked at me and said, "Not happening. Staying indoors, buddy." So,
yeah,
football and have a great hockey conversation with you, Grant, and all the listeners.
Yeah. Well, I came up with something has to give with the goaltending. I think here. It appears that it seems to be the biggest Achilles heel of the team right now. They don't appear to have confidence in Monty in Dobish as a starter, even though he's 15-5-3. They keep trying to get Monty going here, and he had a couple of decent games, but on the whole, for the year, he's had more poor games than good games. Uh-huh. And, they put Fowler back down and said to me, okay, this is what they're doing. They want to have Monty play 2/3 or 3/4 of the games, just like last year. They don't have the confidence in Dobish. And I know Dobish his technique isn't the best, and sometimes, but he battles and he wins games, He's winning games this year. He's got better numbers than Monty. Monty's like 80th or so. He was 79th going into last night, so I assume he's in the 80s now. As far as saves above expected. His obviously his save percentage is right at the bottom of all goalies. I didn't like that backhand goal. He has to stop that puck, I think, and then lets in the very next shot again. Once again, lets in 2 goals in his first 7 shots. I don't know how many times this year, Rick, he's done that, but it's been often. It seems like the first 7 shots he lets in 2 goals at least half the time. And it's tough when you're always battling back from the deficit, right? At the start of games, it gets the crowd going if it's an away game. Conversely, if it's at home and you're fighting from behind early, it quiets the crowd, and it also, I think, deflates the team a little bit. Both of those goals that he let in late, went down on his knees too early, went over his shoulder. And Marty said, well, the second was deflected, fine, but if he's not on his friggin' knees, it doesn't go over his shoulder, right?
Right.
And then the second goal, he way overplayed Pasternak there. What was he doing? Was he going to save it off the boards? Did he think Pasternak was going to hit one of the sponsorship logos and he was going to prevent that, I don't know what he was doing way over there. He didn't pay any attention. Fowler had he was letting in a couple of short side goals, but that's fixable. Still, his technique and his mindset was still, he was playing better than Monty. But Fowler notices, he would not have done, he'd have noticed Geeky over to the side and would not have overcommitted like that. I just know that Fowler is aware of the other players around him, and his peripheral is good. Monty, I've found this year, and a little later in the game, just about 10 minutes later, a very similar play happened, and once again he was not even in his net. And if the Habs defenseman doesn't block the shot, it's a wide open goal because Monty's not even in his net, overcommitting and not thinking that there might actually be a pass. So for me, it's the last 2 games again. He struggled, gave up 9 goals. Marty keeps putting him in when divisional 4-point games, and he keeps losing them. I think something has to change here. If the Canadians want to make the playoffs, it's pretty clear to me that something has to change in the goaltending. I don't think they're going to give hand the reins to Dobie. So if they're not comfortable with him being the starter, I think they have to realize now that, look, Monty, at least this year, isn't going to be able to handle 67 to 75% of the starting duties if they want to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they got to make a change. Now, I have suggested that they maybe consider Binnington for Monty. They'd have to throw something else in, probably maybe Struble or something, because even though Binnington is struggling this year, he's won a cup. He won the Four Nations Cup last year.
Yeah.
He has proven in the past that he can win big games, and Monty hasn't really done that ever in his career. Now, first person came on here, Moon Observer Gilles. Nope, no trade for Binnington. That is ridiculous. Whoever came up with such a plan. Guilty as charged. I said I came up with it. Calling it ridiculous is ridiculous. Anyway, having a little fun with it. But, I get Binnington's not a favorite. He's had some he's a bit of a hothead, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Completely different personality than Monty. But you know what? Dobish might need some tough love. Like, get him up, stop the crying. Like, I could see Bort Binnington. There's no crying in hockey. Stop crying. He might help actually be a mentor for Dobie. But hey, I just threw it out there. You know what? I'm going on a little long here, Rick. Pardon me, but I'll get my points out here. Binnington, there have been a lot of goalies traded for goalies, and I've got a few examples that just off the top of my head, and people feel free to weigh in. But what has happened in the past is a goalie struggling one year. 2 goalies are struggling, and the thought is, a change of scenery. Clearly, there's a disconnect between Montgomery and Binnington after that.
Yes.
Not pulling him, or wanting to pull him, and Binnington just do, and then Hofer hiding behind the, not wanting to. But Hofer has become the number 1 goalie in St. Louis. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So if they trade for Monty, like, you got to think of it from both sides here. If they trade for Monty, Monty doesn't have to be the starter. Like, Hofer's 25. He's his stats are pretty good this year.
Yeah.
He can be the starter in St. Louis. 6'5", like, he has just kept getting better and better. So they don't really need Binnington. Maybe, say, well, Monty can be the backup here. He doesn't have to get in all the time. There'll be less pressure. Maybe he can bounce back as the backup goalie in St. Louis, and it might be the perfect situation for him. Same deal with Binnington, who, even though he's not playing well this year, last year he wasn't playing fantastic either, and he went to the Four Nations Cup and he was lights out. The Stanley Cup year, fantastic. Just great in the playoffs. Arguably could have won the the Conn Smythe. He's not afraid of pressure situations, and Montreal is a pressure situation. I think, he goes to the Olympics. Maybe he has a good Olympic. He comes back with a better attitude. He's Montreal starter. He's a battler, just like Dobie. He could get back on track, and that's, to me, is the biggest issue with the Canadians right now is the goaltending. Like in recent games, they've outplayed the opponents, and the goaltending was better on the other end, and they end up losing. So I know Binnington, it wouldn't be a perfect choice, but there are, I think, logical reasons why you would at least perhaps explore it. What do you think, Rick?
Boy, my first thought is a goalie tandem of Dobish and Binnington would be absolutely insane. And that's a lot of emotion behind the name.
Yeah, it would. The media would like it.
Oh boy, would they ever? The thing Binnington is he gets really frustrated when things don't work out well. Like he doesn't act like this when the team is winning or when he lets in one soft goal in the middle of a good showing, let's say. He tends to do this when he's frustrated and unhappy. And St. Louis is just a season of frustration for them. Like nothing is going the way they hoped it would. So there's a lot of anger accumulated. And you're taking with Montreal with a better vibe around the team and more success and more possibility of success. That maybe some of his worst instincts could be a little bit more, corralled or maintained at a more reasonable level, if you will, which would help him a lot. I don't know what his contract situation is. I don't know if he's got 2 or 3 or 4 more years left. I didn't really take a look, to be honest with you. But and the thing is, there is a possibility that he would accept to be moved, considering the situation and the unhappiness he's obviously experiencing in St. Louis. So it does make sense to consider that trade. I think that there's probably, I think there's less of a possibility he lets in a frustrating goal than Monty. And that's the difference, I think, a little bit, where he lets in a goal that kind of, the team doesn't show it, but they look frustrated. And I think Madison's body language on the last goal looked a little bit frustrated when he walked away. Like he knew it was in before anybody else did, kind of, and he didn't look very happy. And people get, the players get a little bit fed up with that, especially at this point of their rebuild. So definitely you want to look into it. I wouldn't think of moving Binnington for a huge, if St. Louis is asking for an important piece or a high draft pick,
no,
I think it'd be definitely something I would say no to. I think it's one of those things where Montreal might be doing St. Louis a bit of a favor.
Well, it'd probably be a goalie for goalie. Like it would make sense.
Yeah.
They would need a replacement, Rick.
Yes.
For,
of course.
For Binnington. And, like it's happened. There've been a lot of goalie for goalie trades in the past where guys aren't working out on one team and they go to another, like Gustafsson for Talbot. Tell me that didn't work out for Minnesota. Okay. Right. Kev.
Wow. Yes.
Justin Pogue from Toronto from Boston to Toronto for Tuukka Rask. That worked out okay for one team.
Yeah.
Craig Anderson for Brian Elliott. Well, Craig Anderson had a hell of a run in Ottawa.
Yeah, he fit in.
Scott Darling for James Reimer. Florida and Carolina made that deal. There've been that's just 4 off the top of my head, and people can maybe add a few more because it seems to happen often enough that teams make our guy's struggling, your guy's struggling. They've been better before. We know they can be better. Maybe it's just a change of scenery will help, right? But
right.
And I mean, the biggest people have weighed in on it and said it, and I can't disagree. The biggest stumbling block from the Canadian standpoint would Binnington Binnington fit in what is a tight dressing room, right? Because he's kind of got a reputation for being, a bit of a hothead, you could say.
Yeah,
What do you think
but
about that?
the thing is that I think fans, maybe have a different mentality than hockey players do, right? In the corporate world or in a regular world, Binnington going off like that would not go over very well. Hockey players are built differently. They could punch each other for a minute and go out for a beer 5 minutes later, right?
Yeah.
It's totally different.
Yep.
These are the kind of things where you hope your pro scouts are on top of things, know what's going on. The advantage is Montreal, I think, and St. Louis seem to have a bit of a relationship when it
That's
comes
right.
to trading. So you're taking that there's some good knowledge there that works out. Binnington might go off on coaches sometimes and on referees sometimes, but in the locker room, the players, he might be fantastic with his teammates. We don't know that. Like there's no
Yeah.
there's no way to know that. As a fan, I don't know. As a as a hockey player, that could be very different. And at the end of the day, listen, people say teams that are struggling, the locker room, it tends to be a problem. But when you're winning, we don't hear about locker room issues. But the thing is, they happen no matter on any team, right? He might come in and maybe he'll grate on people's nerves a little bit. Some players' nerves might not, but they might not like him too much. But it won't matter if the team is winning, and it happens on winning teams. It happens on losing teams. Sorry to tell you, but not every Habs players are buddies and get along super well or never argue. It happens, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
if you're winning, they'll tolerate a lot of stuff, believe me.
No, good point, Rick. And I mean, I think he got along with his teammates at the Four Nations Cup last year.
Pretty well.
Won the friggin' gold medal. Yeah. I think the year that St. Louis won the cup, he probably was getting along okay with everybody in the locker room, And sometimes it's maybe not a bad thing to have that strong personality, veteran personality that's been there, done that, won. It might actually be a benefit to this young group. You don't know that. Like maybe they need one more strong personality in that locker room. It wouldn't hurt, right? He's more of a vet than Monty even, and they do need more vets. So I don't know, that, like you say, that could be overblown. We don't know how Jordan Binnington is in the locker room with teammates. Yeah. Opposing teams, he's had some run-ins with a couple of opposing players. Well, that doesn't bother teammates. He's had run-ins with a couple of refs. Well, that doesn't bother teammates. A couple of coaches, well, I mean, hey, he's competitive. He didn't want to be pulled. So I don't think that's going to – teammates understand that. And, in fact, that competitive fire is not a bad thing. So I don't know. It's just thrown out there. You came up with another name and it's been suggested before. There doesn't seem to be a lot of like potential goalie for goalie trades here. That's one, in part because St. Louis is out and they're going to be making some trades. And I guess Binnington's salary is higher than Monty's. That might be something. So they might have to throw in another player. Like I suggested Struble, but I guess it still wouldn't match salary-wise, would it? It'd still be. But I think they could probably get it sorted out. But I think the Habs would have to add a little extra just because of Binnington's pedigree, of winning the Four Nations Cup and winning a cup, as opposed to Monty, who hasn't ever won anything, right?
I agree 100%. And I think we both agree, like we're not saying give up a Michael Age or a Zarovsky or a first round pick, but a useful piece to the puzzle would be in order. And I think that makes sense for both teams. And Struble might be a good acquisition for St. Louis, who right now don't have fantastic depth at defense, and they could probably use another guy in that's younger in there that could fit. And I think St. Louis as an organization tends to value defensemen a lot more. They really want to make sure. They always want to make sure they have a good core of a many defensemen, and so I think that's why Struble might fit with them, and that might be one option. I would have to look at what other ideas could be. Maybe there's a prospect they tend to like that surprises her. I don't know. Maybe Owen Protz. Let's say they might say, "Oh, we'd really like to have him." And yes, there'd be some salary concerns, but you're thinking maybe, they might be moving Liney too in the next few months, and that might free up $8 million. There's different things will lead to different outcomes, right? It depends on what happens in the next little bit. So I think that Montreal are going to be able to manage something there. But even if I don't think that I'm not sure if the salary is a huge difference between the both of them. I think it is a few million, but I think Montreal might have that cap space at the moment, and they might be able to do something. But I don't look at it in detail, to be honest with you, Grant.
And you did bring up the name Grubauer, right? As maybe perhaps like he's the backup, and again, ideally, if you do a goalie for goalie trade, it's with a team that would be looking at Monty as a backup. Like the issue with Montreal right now is they've got him as their starter, and that's not good. And they need an alternative, and Joey Decor is playing really well in Seattle, and it's not that Grubauer's couldn't be a starter. It's just Decor is playing even better in Seattle. I think is what 918 save percentage for Grubauer,
something like that. Yeah.
So I mean, 870 compared to 918. If they could get a goalie that's saving 90, 91, 92% of his shots, that could be the difference between them missing the playoffs and making the playoffs. Right. So certainly I would explore Grubauer. I would explore, probably two or three that I would at least look at it and consider it at this point, because I just don't think Monty, you can afford to wait any longer. It's the two chances now. It's just the club has to stop this bleeding with their goals against. They're right at the bottom of the league in goals against. You can't make the playoffs if you maintain that. 3 power play goals against last night again. They always say your best penalty killer is your goalie. Well, he wasn't a very good penalty killer last night.
No. But the penalty kill as a whole hasn't been so good though recently. I find Evans especially keeps losing his man a lot defensively, and then there's just a lot of mistakes that happen in who has which man again. And you saw that yesterday. You would like to see the goaltending make some saves, but that was not good penalty killing last night at all.
No. And I addressed that last night. Evans with on for all 3 goals against. He was on for 2 goals against the other night. When he came out of the lineup, they were 27th in penalty killing. They got it up to 20th without him in the lineup, and now they got to be back to 27 or lower because. Well, he's been on the ice for 5. He's been on the ice, Rick, so far this year for 21 goals against on the shorthanded. And that's in a little over 120 minutes of penalty killing. That's over 10 goals per 60 minutes. That's not good enough. It's not near good enough. It's bad. So, I mean, the other options here, if you can't, make some kind of a goalie for goalie swap. But it seems feasible, especially if you can, St. Louis or Seattle makes sense because Monty would be a backup, right?
Right.
And you could get the other team would ask for another asset. So it might be appealing to them. Now,
there's another angle. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, there's another angle quickly as you were saying this that just sprung to me is there's also familiarity between Doug Armstrong and Monty, right? Because he was part of the whole Team Canada thing. Sorry, something that came to mind.
No, that's right. Like he was, yeah. I mean, he got picked last year, so there's some, obviously they were impressed with him enough last year to pick him over Logan Thompson, for instance, right?
Right.
And it might be, it could be just personality based to a certain degree, saying, well, we really like Monty's personality as a third goalie. He won't ruffle any feathers. Let's take him over Logan Thompson, who probably deserved to go last year, but now he did. He got the job over Monty.
Yeah.
But also, like, perhaps, in the dressing room as the backup goalie in St. Louis, yeah, Armstrong might look at it and say, well, Monty's a really a nice person, a nice guy. He'd fit in our locker room. Sure, why don't we get him as a backup? And maybe he bounces back to, if he could start playing like he did last year when he was third in saves above expected in the NHL, then they've got a hell of a good backup. They've got two good goalies then. So, I could see it being something Armstrong would explore. But, I mean, Montreal will be taking a gamble with it. But if it works, holy frig. You got Binnington on top of his game with that young Montreal Canadiens team, with the potential that they have. Like, the Canadiens could go on a run in the playoffs with Binnington at his best. Binnington at his best is here. Monty at his best, I think, is here when it comes to big games. So, anyways, it came to my mind that it might be something, given, as you said, but I had thought of this too, given that they have a trade history, right? Mayu for Bolduc, all that stuff. So, yeah. Anyways, it's an interesting topic. The other thing too, Rick, is if they can't make a trade, or maybe they aren't even going to explore that. The other thing is Fowler can come up and down. Like, just because he was sent back down does not mean that they can't call him back up, right? He's not waiver eligible. They could call him back up. That's one option. And the third option, obviously, is you call up Kakkonen for a look, right?
I have no problem with that.
But then if you try to send him back down, I assume that he would then be waiver eligible, or
he would.
So that, which makes it a little more plausible that out of the two that they'd probably call back up Fowler again if they had to.
So. Yeah.
But then what would they I don't think they want to go with the three goalies anymore. If they did call back up Fowler, that's the issue then, right? Then you almost have to make a decision on, like, do you try to send down Monty? Do you put Dovish down for a while to, kind of flip the two goalies? Like, that's the other possibility. Send Dovish down for a while because he hasn't played a lot in the last month, and say, here, get down there, play for a month. We're going to bring Fowler up. We want you to play 10 out of 15 games in Laval or whatever, and we're going to have another look at Fowler, and have Fowler as the starter for a bit again up in Montreal. That's the other option. What do you think of that one, Rick?
I think I like the idea of bringing down Dobish because you have also, like you said, he hasn't played much. You got the Olympic break coming up, so you'd like to get him some games because I don't think it's good development that he spends 6 weeks barely playing any hockey and he hasn't played much in the last month on top of it. I'm not worried as much about Kakkonen if he's the third goaler in Laval for a month. I mean, he's not a developing asset, but maybe also having Dobish work with Marco Marciano might be a good thing because he's helped develop Dobish a lot, and maybe getting back with his old coach would be a good thing. And have Cam Fowler for now you bring up Cam Fowler, but then when the Olympic break happens, you could bring down Cam Fowler back to Laval and have him and Dobish play in Laval for 3 weeks while the Olympics are on. Work with Marco Marciano, fix up a few things. Maybe a different voice would be a good thing for for Dobesh too, and just get those games in a little bit, and be, maybe then he comes back up and you get to see a little bit more of the Dobesh of last year, a little bit less erratic technically, a little bit. You want him to he's a fighter in nets, that's his natural instincts, but you don't want him to kind of go all over the place like he's shown a little bit in the last month. So that makes the most sense for me, because the truth of the matter is I'd be surprised if Kakkonen is not picked up if he's put on waivers, because playoff teams want depth, and lack of depth is a huge problem in the NHL as a whole right now. So, he'll be picked up by somebody who just wants that third goaler for the playoffs in case of. So to me, everything points to Dobesh being sent out at some point. There's a maybe Fowler comes up, and then when the Olympic break is ready, you bring down Fowler, Dobesh too, and Fowler, and have them both start and both play a few games on Laval during the Olympic break.
Yeah. Geez, there was a goalie for goalie trade just a month ago. I forgot Jerry for Skinner. Like it's happened. It happens often enough, and it just sometimes it's just a matter of a change of scenery. And now Skinner's won 6 in a row or something like that.
Incredible.
Like on a Pittsburgh team that's not as good as the Oilers. So,
my gosh.
Anyways, there's like I see comments here. Oh, well, like somebody that's just such a, like people like think they know Jordan Binnington, like a couple of things happen and they, oh, well, he must be just a horrible human being or something. And like, no, he's competitive. And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. Dobesh is competitive too, like, can't trade Monty. He's a local boy. What will people say? Oh my God. I sense a little bit of sarcasm there. Habs should try to get Casey DeSmith if he's available. Good goalie and fairly cheap. Yeah, he's bounced around a bit, eh? Yeah. There have been goalies that resurrect their careers, like just get moved to. Somebody was mentioning like there's not much of a goalie market. Look at Ottawa. Yeah, but they didn't have a goalie to trade for a goalie, And teams often, well, okay, we'll trade you one of our 2 goalies, but we need one. We need one back, right? That's why you see goalie for goalie trades. And Ottawa didn't have one to trade when they picked up Reimer, right? So, yeah. But anyway, it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, one option too that just popped into my mind also, and you again, your pro scouts better keep an eye on him, because I'm not looking at, I'm not watching many of Columbus's farm team games, but maybe Fedotov in Columbus is their goalie. They acquired a big contract. He's playing in the AHL. Maybe he's a short-term solution. Wouldn't cost you much of anything, I don't think. That's just a name that popped into my mind. But again, you better. I've gone to see him quite a few times there, because I have no idea how he's doing with in Columbus right now.
Yeah, for sure, right? Well, Rick, now might be a good time to do prospect, your draft prospect of the week.
Yes,
I have to leave the room for about a minute, so I'm going to put the video up here and leave the stage to you, my friend.
Thank you. So my prospect of the week is Ryan Lynn, defenseman of Vancouver, and he's going to come in at the end. He's at the bottom right in black. Look at that nice lateral mobility. Good wrist shot. He finds the corners from the blue line, which is pretty impressive. By the way, recently he was named Vancouver's new captain. So that's a good thing, in my opinion. Here he is again at the point. Moves the puck really well. Distributes it, creates openings. A little bit deceptive. I like that. And here I like this. He's going to move, and look at that nice move. Comes in. Yeah, a little bit of a lucky move, but the fact is that he got in there to make it happen. And he found the opening, and that's what he does really, really well. When he uses his skating to find openings and take advantage of them, Ryan Lynn does that really, really well. Here, what you're going to see is a really good pass. Nice move there again by Ryan Lynn.
Yeah, very nice, Rick.
Yeah, really deceptive again.
Yep.
Comes in. Here again, at the point. Play goes on.
Yeah.
It's going to come back here. Near again. Nicely positioned for the player here. A little bit of patience here. He's going to continue moving around, be deceptive. And here he goes. Boom. Nice one-timer. He sets it up beautifully. Yeah. I like that goal, that play a lot. And another thing he does well, and it's well known, he really activates the offense down low. So there's not a lot of time left in the first. He's going to pop in, beat the guy, and just start moving around and just create. A lot of guys are just moving around, trying to keep up with him, and he creates openings. It doesn't really work out, but Ryan Lynn did his part. Can he defend? There's sometimes holes, but he does do certain things well. And here he goes, breaks up a play, doesn't really get the puck out. That happens. And this is where I like what he does here. Oh, okay, here he goes. See, he doesn't have the strength to overpower the opponent. He just gets between the opponent and the puck, stays there, covers, does a good job there. There's going to be a little bit more play a little bit, slowing down here a little bit, but puck is going to be thrown in deep. Right, team is going down to get it. Is this the right play? Yeah. I'm looking for it. Oh, there's a mistake. This is where he activates too much. So he gets in deep, but only 20 seconds left. He's beat, and now it's a 2-on-1. That is the biggest problem, I think, with Ryan Lynn's defense, is when he pushes the play in a way that doesn't really make any sense. It happens too once in a while, and then he gets beat. Here again, nice play, gets the puck, but too quick. He does a pass to a player, his teammate who's not even ready for it. Again, leads to a scoring opportunity. Once in a while, he's got to wait for the opportunity and take advantage of it. Instead, he forces plays too often. There's talks that I think he's been doing better at that, but he's got to play within his limits a little bit more, or at least, as Marty St. Louis likes to say, he's got to make the play that's in front of you and not try to create something that's not there. That's probably Ryan Lynn's biggest issue right now. But if you could kind of corral that a little bit, he brings you things from the defense that you really like to see, especially his skating, puck movement, and a pretty good shot from the point. So where is it going to go? I think it's going to be between 15 and 20 in that general area. I know some people are talking about top 10. I don't quite see it that much. But 15 to 20, I think, is a possibility if you're looking for a mobile right shot defenseman that you're hoping can curb some of his worst instincts and really kind of get the play simplified a little bit at times and not push things that are not there.
Yeah. Well, he's what, 5'11"?
Yeah, 5'11", 180 around that area. So that's the biggest issue.
What right now, there's some similarities to Villeneuve, I guess. Like you know, there might only be one team looking for that in the teens, and they have to maybe make a choice between Villeneuve and Lynn. Who would you favor at this point between those two?
It's not that obvious, because the thing with Ryan Lynn for me is, although he's not a big guy by any means, right? 5'11" and 180 is not very big. I find that there's a better balance and maybe a little bit more stockiness to it. So he's able to get, not physically aggressive, but he's able to withstand opponents if you get into proper position. And you've seen a little bit of that where he's fighting for the puck, but he's quick enough to get between the player and the puck and get the puck. But then again, what Villeneuve gives you in terms of offense is it's a lot better, right? Because he's a heck of a lot shiftier. He's more deceptive. He forces, and he's got a little bit more bite to his game. If I really had a choice, I think I'd probably go with Villeneuve just because, and he's a bit more of a boomer bust guy, where I think Ryan Lynn, If he doesn't produce as much offensively, there's still a possibility that it could be a more useful defenseman. Where Villeneuve, you're kind of wondering, well, if he can't produce any offense in the NHL, I can't use him anywhere else. Like that's all I have with him. Where Ryan Lynn does have that strength a little bit more. So it's a tight battle. I think there's going to be a good debate between players, but I think I'd probably go with Villeneuve as a better option. So I think that's why I think Lynn probably falls more in the 20 in that area. Again, 15, 20, maybe even 25. I'm not sure. The fact that he was named captain, I think, for Vancouver maybe is a good thing. I think it could speak to a little bit of character being a positive in that sense. So that's what I think. I think it's going to be somewhere around there.
I'm shocked that you would lean towards the kid playing in Blainville, Rick.
It wasn't a sure thing, right? I did give it a little bit of doubt, so give me a little bit of credit for that.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh, we've had lots of people weighing in here. More than 100 people on a Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
Hey, well, I thought it might stir up a little bit of emotion there, and I'll get to some. Oh, Theodore Frabisher. There's another one.
Yeah.
Back in the day, David Abisher, the Swiss goalie, and the Habs traded the former Hart Trophy winner for. It's happened a lot of times through the years. Like it really has. So, from that perspective, I think it's plausible that the Canadians pursue that. But to get back to Ryan Lynn, I see. I think scouts, the decision making, right, is in his own end, especially. He can be a little risky. When you're undersized and a little risky decision making wise, like I could see him not going top 22, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think it's more, if I were to try to slot him, I'd be more inclined to say 15 to 30 as opposed to 10 to 20 at this point. I'd be surprised if he goes top 15, I think, but all it takes is one team that I guess that's looking for a do you think he could perhaps run a first power play someday in the NHL, or is that because you'd almost have to, I think, to be considered in the top 15? Is that fair to say?
No, that's why I have him 15, 25 more. Like that was my personal opinion, and I think again. That's another thing too, where the interview might be important, right? You want to make sure because there's definitely flaws in his game and his decision making and his own end. And if he's aware of it and wants to work on it, no, that's going to be a big plus. I think that would be important. But is it going to act a first power play unit in the NHL? I don't think it's going to be a first power play unit. I think it might be a second power play unit, but he might be a really good second power play guy. Again. The fact is that he does skate well, and I think there's a willingness to play defense that is there. I don't think he dogs it defensively. I think he gives an effort. That might score him some points too, right? I think the willingness is there, and I'm seeing a bit more of it than I did last year. Definitely, I think last year he was a lot more careless defensively last year. I didn't see quite as much carelessness this year than I did last year, which is a plus in it for him. But I don't know if he runs a first power play unit. I think on a bad team maybe, but or in a bad power play. But on a good team, I don't know if he's a first power play guy at this point.
Okay, well, nice to see a profile, Lynn. I think it's a guy it's not easy to slot this year. Mm-hmm. Like I could see him going 15 to 20, perhaps. I could also see him drop into the second round. It's
not
like it's one of those guys, right?
Yeah.
But maybe he goes top 15. I think that's probably a little rich.
15.
Yeah. Like 15 to 35, I think is, but no, that's a good, nice for you to profile him, Rick. I like the player. I just wonder if NHL teams still look at size, and unless you're really a special player on defense at 5'11", you tend not to go top 15.
Absolutely, absolutely, I agree.
Okay. I've got a Habs prospect of the week, and I went a little off the board here with the 7th round pick from last year.
Oh,
Max Vig.
wow.
Drafted 209th overall by Montreal in the draft in 2025.
Okay.
He is an interesting pick because he had been passed over one time in the draft. He played in the NAHL 2 years ago. Just a sec here. I've got something. Oh, must have missed it. Like, it's been an impressive rise for Vig, going from the NAHL to USHL last year and scoring 10 goals as a rookie in the USHL. 3 defensemen had more in the entire USHL last year. So as a rookie, and none were rookies, obviously. Now this year so NHL, USHL, now college.
Incredible.
19 to start the year, so still fairly young, and like a lot of guys don't start till their 20s in college. Like it's by no means that regular that someone's like 18, 17 that they start college university hockey. But he has 5 goals as a freshman defenseman. Now,
Wow.
only 3 have more, and they all have 6, just one more. 2 of them are Jackson Smith and Keaton Verhoff. So, it's not like these are no names, right?
Right.
He was named captain of his high school team at 16 years of age in only his 2nd year in high school. And he only played 1 year in the USHL, but he was assistant captain as a rookie. So clearly coaches there's leadership qualities there with this kid. In addition to him being able to pop the odd goal, I think he's fairly stout defensively. He averages over, as a rookie in Bemidji State, which is by no means a great team. Their record's not that good. He plays more than 3 minutes on the PK. So he's not only their top scoring, goal scoring defenseman, he's also on the first, obviously their key penalty killer. And he's only been on the ice for 22 goals against. His goals against average, meaning goals per 60 against, is below 3, which is, considering that he plays 3 minutes a game on shorthanded, that's a very good stat.
Yeah.
So I have video from his last game here, and we'll have a look. Now he's number 2 on defense. He's a left defenseman. There he is with the puck. He's as you can see there, he's a stout kid. Like he does remind me somewhat of Owen Protz, just from like a physical standpoint, like very similar size build to Owen Protz. But you can see here he skates fairly well, and he's got some physicality to him. He's not in Owen Protz's. Nobody's in that as far as big hits. But there you see him knocking a guy down. He's strong. He's a strong kid, and you can tell here he moves pretty well with the puck, moves it up. Now some of his passes, he doesn't like to. He passes it right to the guy, like instead of clearing it up the boards, he'll make a pass kind of through the middle of the ice, and you'll see it. That one there was But that was, one time when he did clear it up the boards, and it didn't really turn out so well. But you'll see right there, he made the little back pass to a teammate in a risky area, right? Like, if that's intercepted, it might be a goal against, but he's not afraid to make that play, and he does it fairly often, and we'll see it in a few other instances here too. But there's a nice, he closes pretty quickly on guys. He's got half decent mobility for a kid that's, as you can notice in these highlights, it's pretty stocky, He's a stocky kid. So here he is getting back. Puck retrieval is half decent. Gets rubbed out here, loses the puck. So, hey, nobody's perfect, right? But then gets back in front and takes the guy out front of the net. So made up for it with a solid defensive play. Here, pivot's not fantastic. There, he got a penalty, and they ended up scoring twice actually. Wow. Well, obviously only one on the power play, but Bowling Green went up by a goal. But here he gets back and catches the guy on the back check. I wouldn't say his skating is elite, but for his body type and stuff, he moves adequately. He's a decent, half decent mobility. Here, nice defensive play.
Yes.
I just keep getting reminded of Protz. He's like a less physical Owen Protz in a lot of ways for me, but he also has some goal scoring ability. He scored Bemidji State's only goal in this game. You'll see it a little later. But look at this. Again, kind of a risky spot to put the pass, but it worked, and it was right on the tape. I'm just going to back it up here again. Like, you see where he doesn't go up the boards, which would have been the safer, right? But, I mean, it worked. So none of those passes that he made in this game got intercepted. So, however, at the NHL level, you try those passes, the guys are a little,
Yeah, they're worried about it.
They're smarter, they're quicker, they're not, those are going to get intercepted on occasion. So there, he got it out. That was he made the smart play there. Here again, see that he put it right up the middle?
Yeah.
Like, again, it was like, here we go. He doesn't go up the boards. He goes right there. Oof.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a bit risky, but it worked. Here again, good boxing out there, and you can tell he's a strong kid.
Right.
Here he keeps the puck in the zone, and then here's like, not, strides a little short maybe when you get him going, but not bad. Like you see here,
no, it's okay.
He can move pretty well.
Yeah.
It's not maybe.
One thing about him, Grant,
what's that?
One thing about him though is maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but he plays with a heck of a long stick though. It's standing out to me at least. I don't know if I'm wrong, but that's a long stick. But that's fine if you could handle a long stick like that. It just helps you defensively to cover more space. That's fine. I have no problem with that.
He's listed. Hockey DB's got him at 6'3", and Elite Prospects has him at 6'1", or vice versa. So, but then I checked the stats on. He's listed at 187 centimeters on Instats. So, I think he's probably 6'1.5", and he doesn't look. He's definitely not 6'3". He's. A little over 6'1", I think is right. But you see there, I'll back that up a bit. He moves his feet pretty quickly here, So he's got some jump. So I don't mind his skating overall. And Rick, you watch one video and you can't, you know, it's not necessarily easy to judge a guy skating based on one game on video, right? You
No.
see some things, like I'm not going to come up with really strong opinions on his skating just yet, but I don't mind it. Now,
No.
here is his goal. He kept the puck in, brought it into the middle, let go a good shot. So he's got some goal scoring ability, which is never a bad thing. There's a nice play. Now he has 1 assist on the year, so don't be expecting him to be quarterbacking your power play or anything like that.
No.
That's fine. You know, I mean, what he'll be if and when the Habs sign him, if they do. I mean, that'll be up for debate because only have 50 contracts, right?
Yes, right.
He's a 7th round pick, but he looks like a decent AHL level prospect. Give him a couple more years in college, and if the Habs don't sign him, I could still see him. Like, he looks like he's got AHL potential. For sure, right?
Yes, absolutely, 100% on that. And I like his physicality. It's not a running around trying to find a guy. It's just proper engagement, nice angles. He moves in properly, not giving too many openings, and then he plays the body because that's the play to make. So there's a really good, basic hockey intelligence to the way what I'm seeing right now. What you put together here.
Yeah, and with the score 2-1, he had scored the goal to make it 2-1, and then he jumps up into play here and. He came close. I'll just back it up a bit more here. But he came close to tying it, right? So, I mean, he's already, as a rookie, one of the best, if not the best player on Bemidji State. Like, here he is here. He comes in. Now, like, he tries to be a difference maker. So, he's plus 12 on Bemidji State as a rookie. The next highest plus minus is plus 5. So that's impressive too. Come in as a rookie defenseman and easily be the top plus minus guy on a struggling team. Have 5 goals as a freshman. Not a lot of freshman defensemen. Like I say, there's 3 with more, and it's only 6. So who knows if he was playing on a good team, he might have, might have 7 or 8 goals. So, for a 7th round pick, the Canadians did it once again. Their scouting staff really got to give, I mean, it's too bad that they don't make an exception for the Canadians and allow them to sign 60 or 70 NHL contracts, because they legitimately a year or 2 down the road, they could have 60 legitimate NHL contracts, from all of the draft picks that they could sign, but aren't going to be able to because of the limitation of them only being able to sign 50 players to NHL contracts.
Yeah. And it's great that he's not playing in one of those glamorous schools where, maybe, I don't know if he'd have more points because he'd probably be playing a lot less, because a lot of these big schools attract these big name players. And then you wind up playing on your 6th defenseman, only, 10, 12 minutes a game, where he's now, at least he's playing a ton of minutes. That's much better for development than to being at a glamour school that doesn't give you the same opportunities to see the ice. So that's a good thing too. And the fact is, like you said, he's playing a lot of penalty kill, which it's going to be his role if ever he makes it to the NHL. He's not going to be, as you said, quarterbacking any power play. So he's developing the way he needs to develop for him to have a chance to make it in a school that's maybe right for him. So good stuff all around. Good find. And I really like the way you put this thing together, because, it's hard, as you said, to tell from only one video, but you see certain things that tell you, like, okay, I could see how this projects to another level, and it makes sense. The tools are there for him, and the fact is that he's going to have all the time in the world to develop where he is now. You could wait 3-4 years. He's going to see a ton of ice time. He's going to develop physically some more, And in a few years he might be signed to an NHL contract. I wouldn't be shocked at all.
Yeah, no, he looks like a decent prospect.
Yeah,
The numbers are good. The eye test is good. So hey, for a 7th-round guy, kudos to the U.S. Based scouts on the Canadians. They're good. They identified Fowler, got him, stole him in the 3rd round. LJ Mooney was a good pick in the 4th round. They've made some good picks out of the U.S. in the last 3 or 4 drafts. So they've got a good staff.
Michael H. kid too. That Michael H. kid too, not bad.
It's not bad. No.
He's okay.
Yeah. I mean, but everybody was, knew he was going in the 1st round somewhere, right?
For sure.
And when he was still there outside of the 20, I mean, he wasn't lasting. He wasn't lasting much longer. It's fair to say.
No.
But right, I mean, you could go on. I thought Lane Hudson wasn't too bad a pick. I don't know, in the 60s.
Jerry's still out. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Ready to try Evgeny Kolofon at this point as the goalie. Yeah, I hear you, Spoolie. On another pod, I'm glad you didn't say which one. We don't like to promote other pods here. No, that's fine. It was mentioned Goalie, Cappy, and a first for Thomas. I don't know, what does getting Rob Thomas solve on the Canadians at this point? He's obviously an upgrade on Kapanen, points wise, and I don't know about defensively, but he's a decent defensive center too. But then Goalie, Montreal needs physical defensemen with size. Goalie is the only one in the top 4. Why would you trade Goalie, Kapanen, and a first for Rob Thomas? I don't know. I wouldn't do that deal. I like Robert Thomas, but you're upgrading second line center a bit, but it's not a guarantee that 2 or 3 years from now, Kapanen won't be close to as good as Thomas. Thomas will be in his 30s at that point, and presumably maybe on the decline. He's making $8 million as opposed to Kapanen's $1 million, so there would be, cap considerations there. You're losing your one physical top 4 defenseman, so that has to be replaced. And then you're also throwing in your 1st-round pick. So I don't know. I don't think that that's the type of deal that right now that Kent Hughes, who has said absolutely he thinks Kapanen can be their second-line center. If he truly does think that, then it doesn't really make sense for the Habs to make a deal like this, I don't think, Rick. What do you think?
No, I don't think they need to shake up the whole roster with a monster trade. They need to find that missing piece. They need to make the right trade. They need to make a Carrier type trade where you get, you find an upgrade. Look, yesterday Montreal, I think overall played better than Boston. They got beat because they let in a few bad goals.
Yeah,
that's relatively fixable. Without that, with that difference, I think Montreal wins the game. So let's not overthink everything and try to reframe the whole team. Get that right player to upgrade. And I do agree that Montreal needs another player that could play second, third line and produce a little bit. That's a problem too. Right now, Danault and Evans on your third, fourth, both of them doesn't work. It has to be one of them has to be on the 4th line. And then you need that upgrade there. You need to produce a little bit more offense on that third line, second line, whatever you want to call it. And that's where I think are the 2 biggest holes for Montreal right now that should be addressed. And I don't think you need to make a monster trade to make that happen. You just need to make the right trade and find the right player.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, we'll see what happens there. Lots of people weighing in, Rick. It's an interesting conversation. I don't know. Is Cristobal Huet still playing? Somebody said he's 50. Yeah, might, you know, I don't know if he'd be an upgrade on Monty right now. It'd be debatable, but they might be looking elsewhere. Soderblom in Chicago. Maybe. It's got
I
the
looked
height.
at him, but I think they want to keep him just because you need a good backup to play there, and he's their backup. I don't think they want Drew Commesso up as a backup at this point of his development. I think Chicago are pretty patient, leaving guys down a lot in the HL. They brought down Renzel. They brought him back to the minors because they felt like he needed more development time. They're keeping Drew Commesso there a long time. Ethan Del Mastro's been down for a long time, although he's been on the cusp of the NHL. That's their philosophical organizational game plan, I think. So I think they want to keep Soderblom in Chicago to back up their goaltender, and I think that makes total sense for Chicago. So hey, great if he's available, I'd love it, but I just don't think that Chicago's looking to move him.
But we're talking about moving a goalie for a goalie, though. So
yeah, well, hey, that makes sense. Then maybe call, see what you could do. But if that could work out, I'd be very happy to. I think that'd be a nice acquisition for Montreal.
Right. Well, I mean, they need a goalie, so you give them a goalie. Like it happens.
You're right.
It happens often enough. Like
you're right.
Even this year already. So, but yeah, again, Montreal will probably have to throw a little something in, but it's not like they don't have, these assets. Anyway, it's an interesting topic, and I do think the Canadians need to address this one way or another. We've offered a few alternatives. I don't know how how everybody thinks about it, but anyway, just another thing for that's going to make Kent Hughes pull his hair out, or maybe not, over the next couple of weeks leading up to and after like all of us have that issue. I think worrying and pulling our hair out there, Rick. It's anyway.
That long, luscious hair. But I just hope, I think we all agree on one thing. We just hope that the Habs understand that there is a problem and are kind of looking into it in a serious manner, and not just hoping that, we hope the game plan is not, we hope Monty gets his game back, because I think Montreal have tried that for long enough. We all agree on we just hope he's working the phones right now and looking into possibilities. And maybe there's none out there that makes sense. Maybe teams are asking for too much. Maybe teams are not interested. I don't know that. I'm just saying I hope Kent Hughes is calling teams and finding out what's out there to upgrade his goaltending.
Yeah, for sure. Thomas is still only 26. Okay. Well, I guess whoever was is the same age as Suzuki. Dumbass. All right. Thank you, Anthony. That's very nice of you to say that. I always appreciate the people that have to pull out the names just to make their point. It shows the maturity in that person. Thank you, Anthony. Whatever Anthony means. Oh well, takes all kinds there, Ricky.
Yeah, sir.
Louis Garceau. At this point, I would try Kakinen. Well,
yeah.
As long as you're willing to, you make that commitment, it's got to be pretty much for the year, right? Unless you're willing to lose him on waivers. Cornway let in one goal in each game this weekend, by the way. Speaking of goalies, I think Quentin Miller had a shutout last night too. So some of the picks there are doing okay. The goalies that have been selected by the Habs, but they're nowhere close to. They can't do an emergency call up or anything like that.
No.
Yeah. Goalie for goalie trade makes total sense. Oh, there you go. Thank you. May change a few things. Every now and then, I get people agreeing with me. Lower Canada guy. Is there a goalie in Europe that is NHL ready? I don't know. Like, you can't just bring them over mid-season, I don't think, right?
No, they're under contract.
No, that's right. Unless you can find one that's not under contract, playing in the Croatian beer league or something. Hey, man, that guy's looking really good. Actually, right now, might look better than a certain goalie on the Habs. Yeah, no. Anyway,
that goaltender there who played for Carolina one game that beat Toronto. Maybe he's the option that Montreal is looking for.
Yeah,
he's available.
David Ayers.
There, that's it, David Ayers.
For forward, I'd trade for McCarron if possible, as Grant mentioned. Yes, I agree. Call up Rhino. Yes. Find a new home for Carey, and for goal, I have no clue what to do. Well put. Yeah. Hearing some proposals, and I think some had too many beers for the day already. Yeah, okay. Zeph is always opinionated. Oh, Thomas is 32 to 34. You want to trade? Maybe it's Zeph that's had a few too many beers already today. Pot calling the kettle black there, Zephyr. Agree, you have to go up a star to get a star. Stars that complete. All right, so a big topic here among the people has been getting a Thomas or something like that. I don't know that they're going that route. I really don't.
They're not trading Thomas. I don't think they're trading Thomas. He's a center. Shen is getting a bit older as center too. Yes, they got Dvorsky, who's been playing a while now, but no, that's a need that they have in the organization. And Thomas is signed for a long time, and he's still relatively young. Well, they're looking to trade a Kyrou, Bushnevic, guys like that. And St. Louis has drafted fairly well in the last few years, and they got players coming up that could start taking over. So they're not. I don't think they're looking for a huge rebuild where they're going to just give everybody away.
Yeah.
They got players in their lineup that are good and still relatively young. Holloway and guys like that, and so it's not a full rebuild that they're going to give up everybody that's good. I don't think so. I'm not looking at St. Louis as a possibility, to be honest.
I don't think, it's been thrown out there by Drager or Elliott, one of the two, about, yeah, you could get Thomas perhaps, but you'd have to friggin', it would have to, you'd almost have to sell the farm, right? And I mean, they don't really have, they've got a pile of good young wingers, but they don't have a pile of guys that could be potentially first-line centers.
Right.
So you trade your 26-year-old first-line center, and you may not be able to replace them. That doesn't make – on a team that is not rebuilding, they're retooling at worst, you don't trade your first-line 26-year-old first-line center. You just don't. So the odds are low that Thomas ever gets moved. Just because one of these NHL insiders says maybe, perhaps, the Blues, and it's because it's a big topic, and they always do this, and it always ends up not happening to these guys. Right. But they just throw it out there that maybe if you friggin' blow the socks off of Armstrong with a possibility of a trade, they'd consider trading him. Doesn't mean even 20% chance that he's going. So, yeah, sure. If the Canadians offered friggin' Engstrom 2 firsts, Hage and Zorowski, they could get Robert Thomas, but Canadians aren't doing that. So,
Yeah, and on top of it, even the first round pick, it's not a great draft for centers this year. I mean, you got Malhotra, that's maybe Tynan Lawrence. That's about it. Like, it's not a
Yeah.
fantastic year where you're necessarily going to get a first line center in this draft unless somebody surprises. But it's not looking like there's a ton of options for this year's draft at center too. So you're looking at next year's draft. Maybe that starts to be a little bit long there for a team that has decent assets. So now, I agree with you, Grant, 100%. It's nice to think about. It's nice to imagine, but Thomas, I don't think is an option for Montreal and for St. Louis to trade.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, Hage looks like he might be. It's not inconceivable that 3 years from now, Michael Hage is maybe as good as Robert Thomas. Like, that's not also out of the realm of possibility as well. So, and Zborowski's a damn good prospect. The Habs have a first round pick, and they might get a guy that's as good as. So it just, and that's not even talking about Kapanen. So I just I don't see center now being with Hage's continued emergence, with Kapanen's emergence, with Zborowski playing a lot at center and being a possibility down the road at center, perhaps. They just, that call that in the preseason for them absolutely needing a second line center is not nearly as, it's not nearly as big a need. There are bigger needs on this team right now, including goaltending, including maybe one more big defenseman if they don't call up Reinbacher, and some size in the bottom six, and perhaps a winger on the top line. Those are all bigger needs right now than selling the farm for a second line center when, the mantra still is with Kent Hughes is we're not mortgaging our future.
Right, I agree. I don't think getting that superstar center or star center with the assets it's going to cost, again, I don't think that's not where I would be going. I try to get a stopgap for 2 years, a good, solid contributor that wouldn't cost me that much.
Yeah. Well, Rick, I don't know. You want to stay along for a little bit longer, or you? I
got another 5 minutes, and then I will have to call it a day.
Okay. Well, yeah. This is longer. We've kept you a little longer than usual. It's fair to say, but hi, Grant. I'd give Dovish a good run of games to be 100% sure if he can handle it. It'll help them make a decision next year on who shares the net with Fowler. We can't go get a veteran. That's a fair idea. That's fair. Although I don't know that next year they go with Fowler and Dovish. Like, that might still be rushing those guys as being the tandem next year. So, like, even if you get a veteran, it doesn't mean that veteran can't be moved in a year or two as well, when the other two are for sure ready to be your tandem. I think you want one veteran. Ideally, you don't want two rookies as your tandem, or Dovish should be in the second year next year, but Fowler would still be a rookie. I don't think next year they're planning on going next year with Dovish and Fowler. I don't think.
No. And as in giving Dovish a run of games now, kind of run out of time a little bit. There's not many games until the Olympics start, and that's a trade freeze right there. And then when the trade and the Olympics are over, you got a few games left, and then that's the trade deadline. So you kind of have to decide that. You kind of have to make that decision right now. This would have been this would have probably been able to work out a month ago, but now I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah. Joe Zeke, love your HabsCast shows. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for tuning in. Rick and I both appreciate that. The more the merrier. The thing about Binnington is he's won a cup in international play. He could find his form again, but Monty's never won anything and never will at this rate. I sort of said it that way. And Monty was an .890 save percentage guy in junior. He was an .890 in the AHL. His NHL career is .890. He's never won at any level like a meaningful. I don't know that he's ever going to do that at the NHL level. He is what he is, but right now he's playing similar to how he did at the start of his NHL career, and that wasn't very good. So even if he does get things straightened out, is he ever going to take a team to the promised land? I think even going into this year, we kind of thought, he's just kind of a placeholder for now until either Fowler develops into the guy or they get someone else.
I agree with you on that one. I see the same thing, and I think it's just maybe it might be time for a change for Monty, and maybe a different situation would work out better for him after a while.
Yeah. And of course, we're getting lots of this. Reinbacher's too fragile. Not sure he'll be, anybody gets hit in the head and suffers a bit of like the hit that he got. That wasn't just Reinbacher that would happen to. A lot of defensemen wouldn't come back for the rest of the game. And let's just hold off and wait here. He may be back the next game. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised. Like people are jumping to conclusions here. Players leave games midway through all the friggin' time, and it's a precautionary measure thing, and then they're back the next game. It was just like Doc. 20 minutes after Doc left to get his hand stitch up. Oh, he's glass. The friggin' guy. Blah, blah, blah. And he came back and played the game. The rest of the game.
Yeah, that was quick. Yeah.
Like, don't be so hasty on these things, guys. We don't know. Yeah, he got a shot in the head and he went out for the rest of the game. So what? That doesn't mean he's fragile. It means he got a shot in the head. Like, anyway, some guys are more unlucky than others. They suffer injuries because of circumstances. That doesn't mean they're fragile. It means they got injured. I used this analogy last night. Like, let's say you get in 3 car accidents where somebody runs into you, right?
Yeah.
Does that mean you're a bad driver? No,
Nope.
It's circumstances. 3 different times people friggin', other people were at fault or were contributed to it. So, like,
the thing is, too, not every injury is built the same, right? So if you're constantly getting a back injury, constantly getting a knee injury, that's probably a little bit more concerning. Yes, Reinbacher got a big knee injury, but he blocked a shot, I think, and he hurt his hand. What can you? That's not a bone is a bone. And once it's fixed, it's fixed. You move on. He got a hard hit. It happens, right? Not every injury is created the same. So some injuries don't bother me. Same thing with Doc. Oh, he got injured again. Okay, blocked a shot with his foot. It's a bone. Can't do a thing about that, and it's not going to linger on. Once the bone is healed, the bone is healed. It's over. That's it. We move on.
Well, somebody says Reinbacher's out 4 weeks with a broken hand. I don't think it was a broken hand. Broken collarbone. Now that's possible. Now, okay, shit. That wouldn't be good.
That would not be good. That would suck.
Them damn fragile bones he's got, eh? Well, hey, some guys have all the luck, eh?
Geez, that would be unfortunate, but
right. Well, if he'd have been called up, that wouldn't have happened, right? Just fucking listen to me. I told Hughes, call him up 2 games ago. Wouldn't have been in that situation.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you can get hurt at any level, right?
Absolutely.
That because I didn't look like he got hit in the head. And that was kind of what people were saying, concussion type. But yeah, it looked like more like he got hit the collarbone area. Collarbone. I broke my collarbone in midget. Played in the tournament 2 weeks later, but I don't suppose Reinbacher is going to be that silly. I did it because the X-ray didn't show that I had a fracture. The great Pembroke Hospital with their crack staff. So 2 weeks later, even though I was still in pain, they didn't say it was broken. I'm playing.
Oh,
And to this day, I regret it because I've got a bone that sticks out on this collarbone sticks out 3 times further than the other. But hey, we survived. Typically, it's 6 weeks tops. So, fractured collarbone, unless it's Matthew Schaefer. He ended up missing the rest of the season, right?
That was a shattered collarbone. No?
Yeah, exactly. But did he bounce back okay from that?
He's fine. I think he's okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey,
we'll see.
Fractured collarbone's not a big deal. Again, it's unfortunate. And maybe this does finally, okay, well, we're not going to be calling up Reinbacher here for a look. He's not going to play in the playoffs now. Maybe they go and shop for a big right defenseman. Like, I don't know, maybe Luke Shen. Is Luke a righty? I don't.
Righty. Yeah, he's a righty. Yeah.
Maybe someone like a Luke Shen gets, this might actually turn out to be a good thing because maybe it will. Okay, we got to get off the pot here, and pick up somebody for now, fill in that other right hand D spot, and get some size and physicality for that blue line, which I think, Rick, it's fair to say, matched up against bigger opponents recently. It's a missing element, I think, on that blue line.
Maybe also because Columbus ain't doing so well, maybe Goodbranson might be available too. I think he only has another year after this, and he might be a good, 6-7 defenseman for until the end of next year. Right shot too, physical. There's options to take over that role. So so Kenyu's better go back on the phone again. And look for more pieces.
Yeah. Now Grant said here, Reinbacher broken collarbone. No, it wasn't me that said it. I'm just saying that Eyes on the Prize have reported that, and then someone else reported broken hand. That didn't look like broken hand.
No,
that looked like
not at all.
If I were to here was the broken collarbone for Reinbacher according to Eye on the Prize. If I were to speculate, that one makes more sense because it looked like he got hit up around here. Again, I may have to stay off social media for a while because all we're going to get is the whine about, he's so injury like he's fragile as glass and da-da-da-da-da. But whatever, it's too bad. He's obviously been a lot more unlucky than a lot of people. And
that's too bad.
Yeah, it is. Gooley, same deal. Doc, same deal. 3 top 16 picks that have all seemingly gotten injured when you didn't necessarily think that they were going to, be out as long as they were. So injury prone, if you want to use that term, I'm not a big fan of it personally. I just think it's bad frickin' luck, and that you hope that it ends sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
All right, Rick. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you, Grant.
I can tell that you got to get skedaddle in there.
Got some work.
Hour and a half. Wow, you earned your paycheck today, my friend. I'll be sending you that 50-cent check in the mail by the end of the week.
Thank you very much, everyone. I always love being here, and we'll be in touch this week, my friend.
Okay, thanks, Rick.
Bye, everyone.
Rick Springhetti, folks. Let's get to a few more. Not for poor goaltending from the Force to be played as a number 1 in Monty, this team would be top 5 in the league comfortably. Yeah, you could say that. I prefer a broken collarbone than a concussion. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If that's what it is, and I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah. Um, I still think Binnington is good. Well, I mean, the Canadian Olympic team thinks the same deal. They named him to as one of the 3 goalies, so you're not the only one. Okay, so what the Habs give up on this year? Not exactly sure what you mean there. Hughes might let the CH tank and then pack the club for next year. All right, Jimmy Jack, your posts are pretty ominous there, buddy. Cheer up. Kind of high on the idea of Lafreniere. Not me. He used to be a stud, not since junior. Maybe under his coach and culture he can shine. Well, if you spend 5 years not working on getting better, you're behind the 8 ball, my friend. When you're out of shape, you're out of shape, and that's not. He spent 5 years not improving his physical conditioning. Bad attitude, as far as I'm concerned. I would pass on Lafreniere. Him being a recent former number 1 overall pick, they always typically get more than what they deserve to get in a trade. Certainly when they're traded the first time, you go back on history of high picks that got traded, they tend not to work out. The team that has them knows them and knows that it ain't, like Nail Yakupov. Did it work out when St. Louis picked him up from Edmonton? No. I would pass on Lafreniere. I really would. Heard too many stories. Molson definitely counting on the playoffs. Yeah, I think so. Thomas can be a 80-point center. They'd likely ask for Slavkovsky. Yeah. McCarron 6'6", 230. Blaze not that, and he's also center. And the Canadians don't have a big physical center. I think they need one. If they're getting a center, for me, the need is a big physical one. Teravainen on the first line. No, they need size. I think Teravainen's not a physical player. Kovacevic is in rumors. Have him smuggle Jake Allen out of Jersey and they get Monty. Yeah. Even if you put Monty on waivers, no team will take him, I'm sure. I disagree with that. I think he gets snapped up. If James Reimer can get a contract, Ottawa freaking take him. Can't use as a workaholic. Have you seen the major bags under his eyes? Yeah, well, that's okay. Schneider worth a look? Perhaps. If he may not be he's not very old, right? Typically, rebuilding teams keep their under 25 core, and they aren't looking to move them, right? Play Dovish next 3 games, win or lose. Mondabo isn't the answer. That could be. All right, folks. I think that's going to be that's good for today. We've already got an hour and a half in here. I might go a few more minutes, but Hughes seems to draft well. Let's not trade away too many picks. Yeah. Bobrov and Marty Lapointe draft well, if you want to get specific. Gooley's not going anywhere. I don't think so. but he's fragile. Maybe he breaks his collarbone next week. You gotta, you know, I don't know. You have to. You can't approach things with that thought, right? I would love Kovacevic back. Could have kept him instead of keeping Barron at that time. Barron turned into Kere, so it worked out that way. But we had the size and Kobe, some snarl and good two-way. Yeah, but you don't often. Yeah, I'd get back Kovacevic, but I think they're looking to move Dougie Hamilton and not Kovacevic, from what I hear. All right, well, young lad's off today. He wants the room, and so I told him I'd probably be done about 1:30 or 2. So I guess I best get rolling. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Another great episode. By the way, lest we forget, this guy right here, Yvan Cournoyer, he shopped at Logs End for all of his flooring for his house. Redid all the floors. Loved it. Check out their website. They take logs from the Ottawa River, turn them into beautiful wide plank flooring, and it's just gorgeous stuff. Have a look at their website. Check it out. If it interests you, send them an email. Tell them Grant sent you, and the boys will look after you. I guarantee it. www.logsend.com. Check it out, folks. All right. Thank you, everyone. Cheers to Montreal MUFC. Thank you, Louis Garceau, for tuning in. NAS, go Habs, go. I agree. Da Vinci Code. Cheers, Mr. Grant. Go Habs, go. Yeah, for sure. I hope you like your subscription to Patreon. By the way, I put up Robert Trask's last article about 1 a.m. You would have got an email sent. Anyone that's a Patreon member, and I hope you enjoyed his latest article. He puts up some great stuff. On to Vegas. Let's have a good one. Take care. The Functioning Gamer. Okay. I haven't seen too many posts from you, Functioning Gamer. I appreciate that. Have a good one, everybody. Same to you, Great Britain 8814. And Kenny Pedro, have a good rest of your Sunday, Grant. And you know what? That goes for everybody that tuned in. Well said. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, everyone. Have a good Sunday.